This conference will now be recorded.
Let me see, hold on, I'm looking. Whack that. No, it was not set there, hold on.
That's good. Make sure the word is signed. Yes, sir. That's exactly what I told her this morning.
The total inventory of all new.
I call it regular session of the Lovington. Shannon, roll call.
Mayor Roberts,
I'm here.
Commissioner Trujillo,
Here.
Commissioner Bolt,
Here.
Commissioner White. Here. And the minutes will show that Commissioner Gandy is not present.
You will join us in our invocation. Father God, we just thank you for this lovely day you've given us, and thank you for spring weather that you provided, and we ask that you continue to possibly bless us with moisture. Father, we ask that you be with us this evening, impart to us the knowledge and the wisdom that you have for this community, and let us be the conduits through which it flows. Father, help us make good decisions, help our minds be clear on matters, and help us do everything that we can to support and help our community. We ask you in your name, and just be with us this evening. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen. Everyone's been pledged. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Salute the flag of the nation of Mexico, see a symbol of perfect friendship among the United States. You may be seated. Well, it is.
I was wondering if this is all wrong.
Oh, no, last week, or next week.
Get ahead of myself.
Exactly. All right. Yeah, that was the last minute. Yeah. Board open for a motion.
Let's make a motion to approve the agenda with approval of resolution 2024-027, appointing Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, that's all right. Have a motion second for the correction on the agenda. Any discussion? Shannon, roll call, please.
Commissioner Bolt,
Yes.
Commissioner White.
Yes.
Commissioner Trujillo,
Yes.
Mayor Roberts.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to consider the minutes of March 25th, 2024.
I will second that we approve the minutes from March 25th, 2024.
Okay. Have a motion second to adopt the minutes. Any discussion? No correction? All right. Hearing none, Shannon, roll call.
Commissioner Trujillo,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
Yes.
Mayor Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Bolt.
Yes.
All right. Bring us to our commissioner staff report. Ms. Shannon.
I did place at your stations the letter from Alex and then Hannah Manello. And I got this today, so I'm glad that we got an alternate judge consideration. So that will be on our agenda later on. That's all I have.
Thank you. Chief.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, Commissioner, City Manager, our officer activity for March 24th through April the 6th
Calls of service was 706. Alarm calls was 14. That's 8 crashes, 173 traffic stops, 67 citations, 23 arrests. Code enforcement's activity from March the 25th through April the 5th had 64 citations for weeds, grass, or other property that needed attention. 10 mobile home or RV parks follow-ups with more corrections, and 16 parking violations, semi-trucks or other vehicles. We have one certified officer that's in the hiring process. And which puts us 13 officers on the street. And last meeting, I forgot to mention that we had a server installed for our cameras from D&D for $19,439.31.
That was off of grant.
That was a grant. Our evidence inventory. When I was appointed as chief, the evidence has to be re-inventoried, and the state requires the inventory to be complete every time the department has a new chief appointment. This has been done in a timely manner. The state red flag department had no red flag for the department in the audit. The police department's storage locations, we have 214 locations of evidence. It consists of bulk items, homicide, rape, and burglary, etc. There is a total of 14,573 items stored within our evidence locker, which includes guns and narcotics. The total of weapons, handguns, rifles, and knives is 3,913. This does not include other items that can be used as weapons, or as sharp blades. Amount of narcotics, meth, cocaine, marijuana prior to legalization, fentanyl, etc., is 1,932. We did have 2 items shown in the report as missing, but we were able to locate these items and count for all items that were moved to location due to the size of the items. Notes were put into the respective cases, so they were not shown as missing for the next inventory. At this point, no items are missing, and we can rest assured that all items are accounted for within the evidence dated back to the early in 1981. The goal date to complete the inventory process was April 1st, 2024. It was completed March 15th, 24, ahead of schedule due to the diligence of our dedicated evidence tech and CID department. We're currently discussing goals for the evidence department, which includes the destruction of at least 15 old cases per month with the assistance of the district attorney's office. We'll be contacting gun busters through the Lee County Sheriff's Department, so we're able to destroy some firearms that are no longer needed or from open cases and that can't be returned to the public. Also, we're hoping to destruct old narcotics that found property. Completed the destruction plan will free up available space in their evidence locker and different locations as we need. Imagine storage of 14,573 items in our possession leaves very little space for future. Any questions? Thank you.
You have 200 something locations?
214 different locations.
Okay.
Come take a peek.
So as far as destroying this evidence, removing this evidence, how long does it take?
It's
I
a
know
pretty
it's-
tedious process, because you gotta go case by case, make sure the case is completed. And if they're able to appeal any of these cases, we gotta make sure that's exhausted. And then once we do our due diligence on our paperwork, and then submit it to the district attorney's office, and then they review everything. And then they bring us back, basically a court order allowing us to destroy whatever was on our restriction list.
It's a lengthy process.
Yes, sir. Good thorough.
How often do we do this?
In the past, they weren't doing it very often. But when I was CID sergeant, we started doing it continuously. So once we get a pile of destruction items, then we just send it to the district attorney's office and get them for destruction. So it's got to be an ongoing process, or you'd be overloaded with, we need a new building,
Yeah.
and a new room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Mayor, members of the commission. So the last big windstorm we had broke the cable on our flag at Station 1. New cable is ordered so that we can get that repaired, but in case anybody's wondering why we don't have the American flag flying, that is why. GWC is in the process of the mold abatement at Station 1 right now. They worked on it most of the day. I think they've got the dorm, all the mold removed. Now they're gonna have to put all the new sheetrock and stuff up. Due to the mold, I did have to purchase new mattresses, and that was about $10,000 for 17 mattresses. And we'll get the old ones out. The new ones are supposed to be here in about 2 weeks. We have had a few more of our employees get their EMT basics license, so licenses are coming and it's paying off. The service agreement between the fire department and EMSMC has been changed to the liking of both parties. I believe Patrick looked at it, what we had just showed him, and he liked it. Everything looks good. So we'll sign that tomorrow. We'll get going with the onboarding process. That's the new billing company that we're using. And then our numbers for March, EMS runs, we had 227. Interfacility transfers, we had 44. We had cancel refusal DOA, we had 68. We had 23 airport, 10 Tatum calls, and 22 fire calls. And I will stand for any questions.
See that? I went through and Commissioner Hall, welcome back. We missed you.
Yes, well, thank you. Well, I just want to thank everybody for being here. My understanding, Commissioner Gandy last meeting did an upstanding job on taking over for me. I don't know if everybody was here or who wasn't, but he actually got the hat. Because he called me up and asked me if it was okay, and I said, go right ahead, go for it. And seeing that he liked doing it, he said for the next 4 meetings, he was going to do 3 meetings, he was going to do it for 2 months. Lo and behold, where is he today? So I'm going to hold him to it, though.
Are you gonna come over here and get it?
I am most certainly not. I talked to him, so, no, but I understand he did a good job, so kudos to Commissioner Gandy. But,
Sneeze like he does.
yeah, no, I don't want to scare everybody either, but, and I know I always put out there, buy local, shop local, eat local, because it is important. It's not that I enjoy myself saying it all the time. I know everybody's probably tired of hearing me say it now. But as we all know, commissioners know, we all know GRT really is our life essence in the city. And we do whatever, we put it out there, we try to help our businesses out. It's essential. And that's why I put it out there, because we need to help the businesses. We need to buy gas here. We need to do whatever we possibly can in the city of Lovington to help our GRT. That's what I was going to ask. If we'd be able to get like a spreadsheet showing where GRT is coming from oil field, from construction, because it would be a good idea, in my eyes, to be able to see where this revenue is coming from. And if there's something that we can say that, if there's a place where we can help out or need to, that we at least have a visual. Because that would let other people know that maybe some of these businesses are struggling. We can go there, we can buy something, or we can eat and help them out, because I said, all this goes hand in hand. And if we're gonna work as a community, we gotta work together. And to me, that's important. So we want to survive, if we want to strive, if we want to move forward, we need to work as a community. So GRT is important. That's why I put it out there every commission meeting, because it is important to me. And I know it's important to the commissioners too. We joke around about it and that, but in all reality, that's our life essence. So I think everybody agrees with that. But again, thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate it.
I think EDC can give us information. I think EDC has that information. You can give it. I have none.
Yeah, all right. All right, let's go.
Thank you for approving the budget adjustment. We're doing a lot of work for me. We're working on getting all the adjustments to Tyler so our department heads can have their actual corrected budget. And we're going to be changing our super not so secret password again. They can get inside and working on getting into the DFA system. And also it's time for the next one to report. We're working on lots of things. Hopefully by the next meeting, we'll be some January, February. Then what, March? After that, we're busy. We were just talking about that today. Any questions?
You're doing great. Thank you.
Thank you.
City manager?
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, members of the public, just quickly on some of our ongoing projects, some of which the commission had requested. First, the bathroom fixtures at both Chaparral Park bathrooms have been swapped out to stainless steel fixtures due to vandalism. The bathrooms are now locked from dusk until dawn. So thank you to Jason Boydston for that. And we'll get rid of the porta potties that we've had there. Secondly, as you know, we changed the lane pattern on South Love Street by the post office exit to 1 lane north, 1 lane south with no center turn lane. I think everybody's agreed it's been a good change. Additionally, we put up some, I call them cones, but they're vertical impediments to prevent the illegal left turn exit out of the post office. Feeling is that this will make this a much safer intersection. And then finally, the North Love Street softball fields lighting project has been completed and the new lights look great. So it's bright, but everybody's real happy with that. So thank you to Maddox and thank you to Dean Jackson who helped fund this project. This was not Lee County Electric, as you know, but they funded a lot of other things.
It's the community working together. That's very great.
Finally, I have some exciting news. As you know, we have wanted to reopen the Lovington Youth Center back up after being closed for nearly 5 years, so that the kids of this city have a viable and safe place to spend their after-school time, as well as summer vacation. That would involve a lot of upgrades to the facility, as well as ensuring proper staffing. Last Thursday, Mr. David Reed of the J.F. Maddox Foundation informed us that they have decided to provide the city with $350,000 so that we may refurbish the youth center and get it back open this summer. So thank you to the Maddox Foundation for funding this most important project. We're really excited. So. As we move forward, we've been working hard on it with the director of the Hobson Boys and Girls Club. But with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Yes, I have a question. At the Chaparral Park, that you fix the bathrooms there, the porta potties that you have there, how much cost is that incurring in the city? And my question is because I know that we are opening them at, they're closed from dusk till dawn.
Right, but the main bathroom.
What time do they close them at? Like 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock?
I think so as it's been getting lighter. Jason generally takes care of that when he leaves the shop.
Right. And I didn't know as far as if you have people going up there on overtime or whatever. The only reason I was asking is, would it be beneficial to leave the porta potties there than the people after hours?
Mm-hmm.
That the
Less
doors are
likely to
closed,
utilize them.
And if they do vandalize them, then you know what, we take them out, but at least we're providing something that they're there, that people could use, because, you know, a lot of times you hear people saying that the doors are locked, they're never open, they're always locked. We have porta potties there, but if people take care of them and utilize them correctly, we have no problem supplying.
I will look into that and see if they're not that expensive. And we've actually had our code enforcement officer who lives out there closing, locking the gates down because there's just a lot of problems. For the kids doing donuts and peeling out. Over the weekend, someone broke the window of Jason's shop, threw a rock through it. So it's just,
And I say it's, and I understand, I want to provide for our community, but people have to take responsibility. So if they're responsible, I have no problem with keeping them there, providing what they cost. But once they get irresponsible, you gotta do what you gotta do.
and these stainless steel fixtures are a lot more expensive than.
I understand, yes, sir. There's something maybe look into.
To make it.
Yeah. Any questions? All right, we'll move on. Counselor, how are you this evening?
Good, good. Thank you. So just a couple quick comments on the billing services agreement. I didn't take a lot of time looking at the other agreements. I think Skip did a pretty good job at picking the company that we should go with. There were a few changes I suggested, not nuts and bolts every day kind of issues, but company was willing to make the changes. You know, they dealt with statute of limitations issues, a cap on what our damages would be, and then jurisdiction. You know, they've got jurisdiction as North Carolina. They were willing to change it to New Mexico. And so it seemed to be pretty straightforward. And so I think Skip did a pretty good job. It's ready for signature. And so hopefully we get that into place before our other service lapses. So I'd be happy to stand for any questions if you have.
Somebody, we're ready to move forward.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. This time, I'm gonna ask Mr. Laura, I have one question, if you don't mind. And I promise it's really a good one. So you can do it from there. I had a request, I guess, that the request is the timetable that you feel is gonna get through, Washington. I mean, because you're fixing to go to the next phase, and it looks very quickly, actually, after looking at it today. But the reason that they're is they're gonna be filming a movie down at Drylands in May, somewhere around the middle of May through the end of May. And they don't want construction in that area. So do you feel like that would be a problem?
Yes, yeah, they're not going to be finished. They're looking at their schedule, they provide to me shows, August
Before they get to where?
to be completed, and that's to Jackson.
Okay,
So they're right now, they're in phase 3, they'll be 4 and 5. So when they finish with the intersection at Central, and we have that closed, they'll jump to the next phase. I can't predict because of weather, but like I said, they'll probably in that area around there. I can actually I'll have a meeting with the superintendent project manager tomorrow. We'll talk a little bit more about it. So I don't know the exact dates. Do you know, is it the month of May or?
yeah, he said the middle of May to the end of May. Give or take.
Last half?
Yeah.
And we can look at it, but I mean, I don't, their means and methods and their schedule is theirs. I don't.
No, I understand, yeah, I didn't know if, originally when we talked, when we finished up to Central, then they were just gonna do Central to Washington as the next phase.
Central to Jefferson.
Yeah, I got extended, so they want to finish faster, so they broke it up into 3 phases instead of in 5.
All right.
So, but like I said, I can get all that time frame tomorrow.
Okay.
And
Would you be able to maybe meet with the owners down there and just kind of give them a time frame and then,
I've been wanting to do that, yeah, and we can go in and discuss that with him and the timeframe and try to make it, possible. Yeah, for them.
I told him I would probably see you this evening, so I would ask. Appreciate the info, and if you have any questions, yeah.
Okay,
I'll let him know this evening, I told him I would. Text him later.
sounds good, we can make that happen tomorrow, I'll get a hold of you and we can square it up.
Perfect. All
Okay,
right, thank you, sir.
you're welcome.
All right, this brings us to our public comment time. If you have something you'd like to address the commissioners, please come forward to the podium, announce your name, and then spend 3 minutes letting us know what you would like us to hear. All right, I knew you were here for a reason.
Okay, good evening, county commissioners and to the county manager. I am here to expose the problem I have on, excuse me, could you say your name? Please? My name is Juana Dominguez. I'm sorry for that. And so I'm going to expose a little problem I have on this area. You know, I have been observing a lot on the 700 block, 600 on the Harrison Avenue, 7-8 Street, 9, where is a lot of lots of pedestrians walking at night, sometimes 5 o'clock, anytime, daytime when it's a school, during the school, daytime. Observing that there is a lot of dogs, pit bulls, loosing around the street. In the morning when I open my door, my front door, which I have a fence in my property, I had to open that fence because I had to take my daughter to work. And those pit bulls, they're on my front door. I mean, very aggressive. I do not know those dogs to who belongs to. I've been calling the city of Lovington, the police department, non-emergency number. I have not had any response from them, from the animal pest control. And I was wondering, you know, because this has been happening for several months, for those dogs have been loose around the area. And I've been thinking to collect signatures if I have to provide the residents in that area to reinforce this. What I'm asking you, I don't know who is the one in charge on that department, because as many calls I have made, there's nobody responding to my calls. And if I need any special documents, so I can get the signatures from that area, so this position can be taken care of, I'm asking you to please.
So when you use the non-emergency number through LCCA,
Mhm.
do you go to the animal services,
Yes, I do.
Okay, does anybody answer?
No, nobody leave messages, and they said they will take care of it. Nobody been taking care of that. There have been about maybe 25 dogs around this area, loose. And it's in the school area where I live.
Right, I know your block.
Yes, and so anyway, I really don't know, you know, but I've been thinking to collect signatures from the residents so this can be reinforced. And maybe, you know, I don't know what's going on, because I believe there is maybe a favoritism to somebody that works in that department, because it's time to have somebody working, doing the work for the Lovington residents. It's something that will not take time for me to collect those signatures. If you can provide me the documents so I can have the resident sign for it and have that position being taken care of. And I'm asking every one of you, because this is in a school area. It's not just me walking the other night, somebody, a dog attacked me. I'm lucky, you know, I turned back because the owner wasn't there. I mean, this was about 5 in the afternoon. And I walked to that 9th Street mall in there and walking back. I mean, seemed to be they turned those dogs loose in purpose. But it's early in daytime, so those dogs can be loose. I mean, it's not just me fearing for those dogs, it's everyone.
You can leave your phone number for me
Yes,
before you
actually,
leave today, and that way I can follow up with you direct.
please.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tim Wilson, and I have a question. Well, first of all, I want to commend the police department. They've been cruising around neighborhoods and everything else, and I appreciate that, especially in my neighborhood. I go down there 3 or 4 times a night. But who is responsible for giving tickets for cars parked on the wrong side of the road or driving on the wrong side of the road?
We've been giving warnings for people parking on the wrong side of the road.
Mhm.
So slowly but surely, we're catching them, putting the warning citation on their window. But we're trying to educate them. And then those tickets are being put into the database. So we run into them and doing the same thing, then it'll come back with a citation. We're
Okay.
doing it slowly but surely.
Yeah, because in my neighborhood, there's approximately 15 cars that were parked on the wrong side of the road. They don't get tickets.
I'll get them right over there.
And then the semis. Who's responsible for getting semis tickets, like the tractors parked in their front of their house?
Just call us, we'll take care of it.
Okay.
We'll get code enforcement over there, or
I know Cory, she's been doing a good job on the semis that are on the street or in the parking lot of the football field. Like there's one right now, parked on the football field parking lot. There. And I just, because they're starting to drive down 9th Street and then they'll make a right or a left in the residential and go down and park in front of their house. And they got the tractor and the trailer. And the trailer's gonna be full.
what kind of trailer is it?
Tanker. Most of them are tankers.
Yeah, we need to keep that stuff out of the neighborhoods.
Yeah, they're starting to go down 9th Street all the way to Valero. Or when they leave Valero, they'll come down 9th Street all the way to Brian Electric and stuff. And that's going to bring it up. Because some of them, they're just, it's getting bucket at night when they're parked and you're trying to go down the street and they're parked on the wrong side of the road with their headlights on. You can't see anything. So I just thought I'd bring it up because it's starting to get out of hand a little bit.
Yeah, I'll talk to you tomorrow over there in your neighborhood.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. I see no one's got enough, so we'll move on. Okay.
You have that mistake? He wants to, yes, I can.
Oh.
One minute. No, tiene que- Yo la quiero en español o todo.
No, que me ayude ella. I'm sorry, I need a help. I'm speaking too much English.
You're doing fine.
My name is Ricardo Marquez. Maybe some people know me.
Marcus. ¿Qué es el primer nombre?
Man,
¿Qué es el primer nombre?
Policarpo,
Policarpo.
Polo, somebody.
Polo.
Yeah, too many people know me out here. Yeah. What a little proud from donde vivo.
¿Qué es su dirección?
Es 410 West Avenida J.
Es que están Avenue J.
Tiene que traer una queja sobre lo que hay ahí,
Ajá. Que es día.
sobre animales y acumulación de basura en los solares.
Okay, he has a complaint about these animals, cats and dogs, and then trash piled up in around his area and on the alleys.
Antes el Siri me ayudaba con agarrar los animales, gatos y lo que fuera, pero ahora el Siri no me ha querido ayudar. Yo lo hago solo y tengo que llevar los animales allá al departamento donde los agarran. Si ellos me ayudan, me cobran 30, 40 dólares por un gato, un animal. Ya no es justo. Antes yo ayudaba al Siri a agarrar los animales por mi trampa y el Siri me prestaba también una trampa y con dos trampas allanábamos el animalero ahí alrededor de donde yo vivo. Ahora el Siri no me quiere ayudar, me cobra por llevar un gato allá, 30, 40 horas por un gato, ustedes se pueden imaginar. Si agarro 3 gatos por día, ustedes se imaginan dónde agarra tanto dinero por pagar.
Okay, he says that the city used to help him out, providing him with traps to trap either the cat or the dog. And now the city is not willing to help him. They tell him that he needs to trap it himself and take it out to the Humane Society, and they'll charge him $40 per animal. So he said, if you can imagine, if he gets 3 cats a day or dogs, $40 per animal, then he can't do that.
Ahora yo los agarro y los llevo, de esa manera no me cobran.
The only way that they won't charge him is if he catches them himself and takes them himself. But if they have to come out and get them, then they charge him the $40.
Y no miro justicia en eso, no miro justo. Por eso vengo aquí.
He says he doesn't see any justice in that, that's why he's here.
So if you can explain to the gentleman that I don't know how it was in the past, but I have had conversations with our code enforcement people. In the past, sometimes to bring out a trap, they would charge us like a security deposit, which was refundable. We're no longer going to do that. So we don't need people can trap animals if they want, we can provide the traps, but our primary responsibility is to pick up strays. And as a matter of fact, they're actually ordering more traps because there's a need for that. So I've told them that they need to proactively patrol for strays. Some people feel like it's okay to have what we call feral cats, but it's actually against the city ordinance, cats and dogs roaming at large. So I feel very strongly about this, and they know that it's not so much on the citizens to do this, it is their job to do this. So we will take care of it. So if, again, he wants to leave his number, I know we had 2 traps put out today, actually on Harrison, in your neighborhood for cats. But if he wants to leave his information when we get the new traps in or when some become free, we can take care of the 400 block of West J.
Sé que en el pasado les daban trampas y les cobraban un depósito y cuando regresaban las trampas les daban así dinero para atrás.
No, antes no hacían eso. No, a mí me prestaban trampa, yo no miraba eso. Siempre me ayudaban y yo ayudaba con lo mío. Y él se llevaba, el control de los animales se los llevaba, traía las trampas. Yo ayudaba al Siri, ¿entiendes?
He says that in the past, they never charged him for a deposit. They would bring him the traps and then he was like helping them trap the animals and then they would.
Ahora no, el Siri no me quiere ayudar a mí.
No, ahora sí. No vamos a cargar nada. Usted no tiene que pagar nada.
El problema que yo tengo en mi casa es que yo cultivo la tierra atrás y siembro hortaliza y todos los gatos se arriman donde está la tierra suelta de los vecinos allí. Entonces yo todavía tiene cosas en la basura de los animales y no es justo. No es justo.
He says that in his backyard, he cultivates the dirt and then the cats from the neighbors come in and they, these are people there. He says it's not right.
Otra cosa es de los muebles. Mi vecino tiene como 5 muebles arrumbados enseguida de mí y mucha basura. Antes, cuando había un mueble acumulado, cuando duraba días allí, la ley decía, saque ese mueble de ahí y si no, lo multamos. Y había mucho orden. Ahora hay 5 o 6 muebles acumulados allí y mucha basura y eso vuela a mi lugar.
He says also his neighbor has 5 vehicles that are kind of abandoned with trash in them and nobody has done nothing about it. In the past, they would go and they put citations, even if there was one, and now there's nothing, so the trash will go towards his yard.
So what he needs to do is leave me the address of that house. and I will have someone go over tomorrow, and he can remain anonymous. In other words, we don't tell them who called them.
Dice que nada más deje su número de teléfono y la dirección de la casa donde están los carros y va a estar anónimos, no le voy a decir que ella.
Yo no tengo número de teléfono, pero de la casa es que está enseguida.
La dirección de la casa.
El nombre de usted,
Sí,
el número de usted y la dirección de la casa seguida.
ok, a ver si la puedo conseguir. Otra cosa, pero en la yarda de atrás, al brincar el callejón, está otro solar completamente lleno de muchas cosas. Yo no sé qué está pasando allí. Sí, yo quisiera que se dieran una vuelta y eso me evita a mí de tanta queja y se den cuenta de cómo está el pueblo. Yo no sé, esa es una cuadra nomás, yo no sé el pueblo cómo estará.
He says that behind the alley, there's an empty lot too that has a lot of trash accumulated. And that's only around his block. He doesn't even know how it is around that. And that maybe you guys should go around the block and see what's going on instead of him coming here complaining.
Yo pongo esta queja aquí porque no soy nuevo aquí. Yo conozco Lovington de los años 50. Yo no son tan viejos ustedes. 55. Para acá he conocido de los precios que había. Era un pueblo que estaba todo muy barato. Había como cuatro tiendas de mercancía. Ahorita hay nomás una. Usted se tomó una soda con un daime, ahora necesita $1 o más. ¿Nota la diferencia? Entonces yo conozco a Lovington por muchos años, desde los años 50. Yo sé lo que estoy hablando. Y sé la diferencia que hay de esos años a lo que estamos ahorita.
He said he's not new here. He's been here since 1950 and he knows how it was back then as to how it is now. And just wants to, make it better.
What's his address?
His dirección,
410 West, Avenida J.
400 West Avenue,
410.
410.
So one thing I can tell the commission along those lines is we're waiting for a second code enforcement vehicle. We've ordered it, I think, 6 months ago, 4 months ago. So once the vehicle comes, we're gonna figure out a way to increase the police department budget to accommodate a second code enforcement officer, because it's greatly needed. But that person needs a truck, needs a radio, all that good stuff. So we will equip them and help address that. I think we need a second code enforcement officer.
It just seems like 5 o'clock or thereabouts, they know that code enforcement's going off duty. And then they kind of bring their trucks or whatever they do in the neighborhoods.
And Brandon will come out sometimes on Saturdays, or in the evenings, just to kind of throw them off, but it's very hard for one person to do.
Mr. Miranda,
Entonces,
it's my understanding though, that if they pick up the trash and crap on it, that we will go pick them up.
We then provide the traps and we will place them. You know, sometimes the homeowner will give us permission to place them on the property, and place them in the alleys. We will check them daily.
Right, I know, I need to make sure we get the information to him.
Entonces, todas las personas de obra, yo sé que no voy a hablarles, pero yo miro una
We're going to, right now, we just have one.
Possibly if you're driving city limit vehicle, you should have your guys open and call.
Always.
The thing is, if we're gonna have 2 people, how about possibly having them in shifts?
It's accurate.
That way there you have them during the day and one in the afternoon, night.
Get a weekend.
And
And I know that they work with police, so if they have any issues, we can get with you.
right, that's the whole purpose
Or
Yes, sir.
for having them under the bridge. They can get on the radio. And something the commission also may want to revisit is the ordinance like Hobbs has that just bans all semis parking in city limits, period, regardless of zoning. So it's come up before, we kind of danced around a little bit, but
so I said, if they know what our modes are on day when we're off, and they start working around that.
These are not just commercial vehicles, these are industrial vehicles.
Right.
That have the fumes, that have the
I
toxins.
agree.
And they're doing diesel mechanically in your
Right.
driveway.
And that's why I say, if we're going out for work at 5:00, then after 5:00, that's when they're getting off for work and that's when they're coming home. So we need to have somebody out there at that time.
Yes, sir.
Would you pass on, just telling that, thank you for coming to talk to us, and I want to thank you for assisting in this. But anyway, tell them we will,
Okay. Okay.
Señor Trujillo, yo les pido por favor si puedo pasar a hablar con todos ustedes y con el señor oficial. Les pido permiso a todos, ¿ok? Gracias. Mi nombre es María Sigala. Mi dirección es 1001 Norte por la Primera. Y desde el mes de agosto estoy poniendo la queja aquí con la señora Cristal, estaba el Kevin, con la señora Laura Palma, porque el señor Nicolás Barraza puso un cerco de lámina pegado a mi barandal de mi casa, que ya se mostraron aquí las fotos en la pantalla desde el 14 de noviembre, que fue corte para mí y para mi esposo. Y aquí la señora presente está de testigo que yo vine a pagar mi permiso como si no hubiera pagado en el 2014 que fue construido mi cerco. Les cumplí todo, vine, me exigieron papeles de la corte, el título de mi casa, lo hice, medidas, todo. Y inmediatamente me hicieron mi corte, yo cumplí con todo, los requisitos que me pidieron. Hablé también con el señor Miranda y me dijeron que ellos iban a hacer todo lo posible por hacer a ese señor que en primer lugar tuviera su permiso. Porque cuando yo les dije que yo para hacer que me construyeran ese cerco, yo no lo iba a hacer nomás porque a mí se me antojaba. Ese cerco fue construido por el cuidado de mi padre y el Estado me lo exigió, porque como él padece del Alzheimer, entonces me dijeron que si mi papá se salía a la calle, me lo hacían de cargo para que no se saliera a la calle. Yo le supliqué y le dije a la señora Cristal, le dije a Kevin, a Laura, y ellos lo que me decían, va a ser un largo proceso con este señor, no sabemos cuándo. Ok, les decía yo, está bien, y bueno, ya han pasado todo esto. Enseguida llegó ella y me dijo, ¿qué pasó? ¿Por qué le pusiste ese cerco a tu casa? Le está quitando la vista, le está bajando valor. Y le dije, yo no se lo eché, Juanita. Y ya le platiqué y dijo, yo voy a hablar con señores que me conocen, que están más arriba que el señor Miranda, si ya hablaste con él, con Cristal y con todos los demás. Le dije, está bien, si me ayuda, le agradezco y mucho porque a mí no me han atendido. Entonces, yo de la manera más atenta les estoy pidiendo, porque cuando yo hablé con el señor y le dije, no ponga ese cerco tan pegado a mi barandal, que no es necesario. Si no quiere verme, señor, póngalo, pida su permiso y póngalo allá pegadito a su casa. Pero no me tape porque en primer lugar, cada año a mí me gusta pintar, darle mantenimiento a mis barandales con pintura. Ahí no puedo entrar. Los invito a mi casa para que vean que les estoy pidiendo una cosa justa de verdad. Y allí donde se está la lámina esa vieja, con mi barandal, con mi cerco, hay mucha hierba, mucha basura. No puedo ver de un lado a otro, ni mis vecinos del otro lado para conmigo, porque la barda está muy alta. Es un cerco de lámina vieja. En serio, los invito a que vayan. a ver, y el señor oficial, él conoce dónde, él sabe dónde vive y sabe de lo que le estoy hablando. Y entonces, por favor, yo quiero que me atiendan, si no es mucha molestia, y se los pido con mucho respeto, porque yo trato sí, de respetar a todas las personas, pedir lo que me piden, yo se los traigo con mucho respeto para que así mismo me respeten a mí y me atiendan. Por favor.
If you can't, yeah.
Okay. No, I can give it all, but anyway, she's here because she said last time we attended this meeting was about zoning a 1001 North Fifth Street, North First Street, excuse me. And seems to be nobody has been by her house. And look what the issue is. There's a lot of traffic and a lot of things on the back of the alley on her house, which I think there is an alley and then belongs to, there's an open entry for another property, which is close the alley. I mean, I think that's the problem. And she's talking about the front view of her house that she cannot see to the other side. And I don't know, she asking here if she can get some help to clear that view for that thing that has been out there for maybe a year, 2 years.
That's the neighbor's fence,
Yes,
right? And there's
yes.
been an issue going on. Unfortunately, the three people that know this situation very well are not here, Gabriel, Kevin, and Crystal. But if she wants to come see me tomorrow, I got about 80% of what she said. I'd be happy to speak with her.
All right, thank you so much.
Sí, miren, súper. ¿Y saben cuál fue el más coraje que me dio con el señor Barraza cuando yo le llamé la atención en buenas? Porque allí donde estaba poniendo él su cerco, él me dijo, y haga lo que usted quiera, porque ¿sabe qué? Tanto los del Ciri como usted me hacen los mandados. Le dije, ok, le dije, entonces así lo dejé.
It may be something that needs to be solved in court.
Yes, I think so, because this is getting so much conflict between the two neighbors, and I think this needs to be more than that.
And I think the last half hour has shown Judge Owens just how much business.
Muchas gracias.
It's a good one. And tomorrow. It's just-
One,
And it's been dragging.
it's right behind the new,
Remember to charge them that for the Christmas party bonus.
Okay. Anyone else? Seeing no one, okay, this one moves along to our non-active items. Mr. Moran.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, we were tasked with performing, I believe, the first ever insurance review for the city. We didn't have a lot of time to do it. Our renewal date is July 1st, new fiscal year. We did put out, the Nets office put out an RFP. We had an RFP review committee. We had 3 respondents to the RFP. 1 was eliminated. We are informed by a gentleman who's here through Zoom tonight also that the Self-Insurers League of the New Mexico Municipal League was excluded from the RFP process, in part, I think, because we already have insurance with them. But whether that's here or there, we were waiting to hear back from the lawyer. But long story short, we have 3 representatives from 3 insurance entities here tonight. They're not, I think you have 2 RFPs in front of you. We're not here to decide anything tonight. We'd like to decide something in 2 weeks after everybody's had a chance to talk about it. So we have McAnally Insurance Company here tonight. We have Rob Golden of Golden Insurance, who is our current, we use them for property and casualty, and I think also liability. And our health insurance as well?
No.
No, okay. So this is not for health insurance, this is property casualty and liability. And also through Zoom, we have a representative from the New Mexico Self-Insurers Fund, Mr. Alan Fugler, who we spoke with last week. So it can go in any order. If the various entities just want to give an overview of what they propose, we'll give this to them.
Sure. I've done one of these in Midland, which goes to Port City. Your name? Okay, that's what I was gonna ask. Shane Weathers, McAnally Wilkins. I'll start by saying, I woke up this morning, I'm sure some of y'all are aware that there was a solar eclipse that took place. For various reasons, some of my family thought that today could be the beginning of eternity, that maybe the rapture could take place with the solar eclipse. I'm not saying this is anticlimactic to be here at the end of the day, but we really appreciate the opportunity to come in and talk about y'all's commercial insurance program. I have spent the better half of a decade working for a firm called McAnally Wilkins Insurance. We've exclusively focused on writing commercial insurance programs for oilfield service contractors. I start that off because the question, if I'm sitting in your shoes, is, well, Shane, we're not talking about oilfield insurance, we're talking about the municipality and all of the coverage that we buy for the city. I think it's fair to say that as a firm, we were successful in the 13 plus years that we've been in business and writing commercial policies for oilfield service contractors. And I think that's for really one reason: hyper-focused on our customers' liability, making sure that they're properly covered, and hyper-focused on their cost of insurance. Anybody that's got any experience with an oilfield service contractor knows that they operate within margin, very small margin. And so it's a big responsibility to take care of those operational costs. The reason that I share that is it's not lost on me, that burden, but I would say that it's probably more of a responsibility because the program that you guys buy is funded by a taxpayer, hard-earned dollars, and they also work off a margin. And seemingly in the last handful of years, it seems like those margins have been tighter and tighter. So candidly, and I want to be really transparent, with nearly a decade of oilfield experience, I drove here considering all of the features that I could share with you to try and convince a board that, hey, we're the right insurance firm for you guys to side with. I think it's important to know that in May of last year, our insurance agency merged with a very large firm, a top 5 broker in the country, a 10,000 employee broker called Alliant Insurance Services. The reason that I'm confident in standing here, and I don't think that I would be here if this wasn't the case and I was still just an oilfield insurance agent with McAnally Wilkins, is I have an opportunity to represent Alliant, who's the largest municipality broker in the country. And so what I thought I would do with the short amount of time that I have is just talk about what I think is the biggest benefit to that, and working with a large broker that has a division that this is literally all they do. And I think that there's a benefit to that because for 10 years, I've been hyper-focused on a specific niche and have seen the benefits of only doing one individual thing. Here's what I'll tell you about insurance for an oilfield service contractor versus insurance for a municipality. Since the first moment that we were offered an opportunity to be part of this RFP, there's clearly no one size fits all. It is, and I've had conference call after conference call after conference call as we crammed to put together the best that we could, the RFP for you guys. Of walk me through exactly what this RFP looks like in y'all's experience with writing insurance for municipalities. Very clear that it's like a fingerprint. It's all different. And so here's what I would say. If we were selected, and it's not lost on me that you guys have a tough decision to make, also going through an RFP, I don't know what that's like on your end. I'm sure it wasn't the most fun process, and so I'm sorry for those that drew the short straw, but here's what municipalities are buying. And so I just want to walk through, if we were selected, we would absolutely have to have a discovery meeting. And here's why: because municipalities buy coverage
from a liability standpoint for fire departments, police departments, water, sewer, community service centers, government housing, EMS, errors and omissions, cyber crime, sexual abuse and molestation, theaters, parks and recs, tenant user programs, and within all of those individual policies, limits of insurance that you purchase coverage for, you've got to make a determination on what deductibles, limits, co-insurance penalties, terms and conditions, actual cash value versus replacement cost looks like. And all of that has to be determined upfront for a municipality. So if we were selected, I wanted to just give an idea of what the next step would look like. And that would be a discovery meeting where I would bring a team of people that this is literally all that they do is write these type of insurance programs. And we'd like to very much understand exactly how the city of Lovington operates, exactly what you want insured, and have an educated conversation about what it is that you'd like to buy. With that, then there's obviously going to the marketplace, and we would do so from both approaching the standard market with carriers like Travelers, AIG, the Hartford, and then Alliant Insurance Services also has their own proprietary program called Alliance National Municipality Liability Program. And so obviously putting the cart before the horse, but if we had an opportunity to do that, we'd enjoy the ability to show you the standard market, bring you 3 different options in there, the 3 best different options from a marketplace that we would scour, as well as compare it to the proprietary program of Alliant. And with all of that being said, you know, I still think that there's a parallel between a hyper focus on the taxpayer spend when it comes to properly protecting a community and making sure that we're not spending too much in doing so. So this is the first time I've given this type of speech in this type of setting in front of my competitors. Usually we compliment each other in private. I don't know if there's questions that follow from this, but I did just want to kind of give you an idea of who I am, who Vanjie Joseph is, what our background is, why we've got a very high degree of confidence if we were given the opportunity to bring in a team of legitimate experts that they make a living literally only doing this. And I've got a resolute confidence that when it comes to the liability and the cost of an insurance program, whatever it is presented and decided on will be the best available product in the marketplace.
Questions, Commissioner? No? All right, well, I have a few, sorry.
Sure.
You understand our timeline, and so kind of give me, let's just say, and you get to go, you got to go first, or chose to go first, so you're going to catch a lot of the questions that are going to be coming up through this process.
Yes, sir.
But if we were to be willing to go in a direction, what would be a timeline in that it would take to get to an analysis where you find the markets, or if it, you have a group that does municipalities? Surely there is some sort of correlation between a town this size, and I don't know where your markets are, but West Texas or whatever, you can kind of give a what they look for, or what they, you know, I don't know how you would start at your point right now to get to a point where we can make an educated agreement or whatever decision.
Sure.
That McAnally is the way to go. I'm sorry, Allegiant, I'm sorry, I had that there a minute ago while you were.
Sure. Let me see if I can regurgitate your question so that when I give you an answer, you tell me if I'm tracking in the right direction.
I'm not sure there is a right direction.
You're saying,
I was confused.
you're saying, Shane, nice to meet you. Sounds great. We don't know anything about you.
There you go.
What does the next step look like between all the fancy stuff you said and us buying an insurance program and having confidence that you can not only get it done right, but get it done in a timely manner where we can make an operational cost decision, an educated decision, and a firm decision. Like you'd like an example of that timeline?
Sure.
Am I, okay,
That's
that's the direction I was gonna head in with my
right,
answer.
because if it's a 8 month, then we would be working for the next 8 months or whatever it is to maybe be ready for next July,
Sure.
you know, so.
Here's where I would start. So it sounds like, and I think to some extent, we're both new at the RFP process, right? And so I think in 2 weeks, I was under the impression, and I was actually curious, I'm glad you asked that question, small time frame to put together a lot of information. You guys have probably reviewed that, and I'm just gonna make an assumption. You're flipping through stuff and you're saying, we might not have enough to make an educated decision here in 2 weeks. Here's where I would start if we were chosen. I would start by taking a look, well, and I would ask you this question, both a question and an answer. When is the last time you had a municipality division, somebody that exclusively focuses on this, take a look at what you're buying and give you an opinion?
Commissioners, y'all have more, David, you're on the spot, you're the eldest here.
You know, we've been fortunate, we just had one insurance carrier for quite some time, and we just renewed it. And so when we opened it up this year, exactly, caught ourselves, it's not the insurance right now, but kind of caught ourselves off guard on some costs that we just weren't prepared for. And it mainly because city manager Miranda, he's new. We have some new board members here. And so last year we were kind of caught off guard on the cost, and we didn't have the money in reserve to accommodate that. This way, if we get a big picture and we know where we stand cost-wise, we most likely could set that cost aside just in case there is a disaster of some sort, and we have the money available to cover our portion of the liability. And so last year we were unsatisfied because we just been carrying the same carriers, and really we did go out for RFPs, but we've been fortunate just to have one come up, and they've been taking care of us throughout these years. But like I said, everybody's going to be a little bit newer. I mean, staff is new, our treasurer's new. So we want to see the big picture. We want to see how it's all laid out. And that way it helps us make the better decisions up here on cost and what is better for the city.
Sure. That's exactly where I would start, is I would start with taking a look at what you buy. If you get to the end point, at the end of the day, you want to choose the right broker, you want to buy the right program, there's in all likelihood, you may be buying the most competitive program in the marketplace with all of the coverage you need. And there is an instance where we spent a lot of wheels with a lot of people to get to the end point where it's like, glad we went through the exercise. It definitely gives us a peace of mind. But then you renew with Travelers, and you renew with a broker that it's not lost on me. You've been with the same broker for a long time that I have not a bad word to say about. And so there's a comfort level there. If we were to be involved, that's where I would start. Is I would take a look at what you're buying, and I would heavily leverage Alliant, who this is all that they do. And I would get their opinion, and we would audit that insurance program, and we would look at your coverage, we'd look at your coding, we'd look at the limits of insurance that you buy, we'd look at your carrier placement, we'd look at how that program is marketed, and we compare that to other markets that Alliant is going to have a deep breadth of knowledge on, because this is what they've been doing for a very long time. And then we would look at how those rates, how the cost of those limits that you're buying compares to their proprietary program. All sounds great. Shane, our renewals in July, how long does that take? I think that's probably a 2 to 3 week process if we got every single policy that's purchased, a complete copy of them today. So I think we would look at the audit standpoint. And then I think the second piece in 2 to 3 weeks, once that audit is complete, is to sit down and have an educated conversation, to hear from Alliant, to hear from myself. Here's our opinion of what you're buying, where we can go through and say, based on experience, based on a very large sample size, compared to other municipalities of your size, whether in the state of New Mexico or other similar states, how you relate from a cost standpoint and a liability standpoint. From there, I think the decision has to be made based, and not just a fly in the dark, flip through our best sell. Not poo-pooing an RFP, but you got all of our best sales pitches, right? How can we make this thing look super fancy and give you a great pitch? I prefer the audit because you can look at a great picture of a car. You don't know why that car costs what it does, why it runs how it does, until you open up the hood and you look underneath it. Once we have an educated conversation based on what you're buying, it's in my opinion that after a decision is made, the marketing, and I will say this, how I back myself in that we're early April. So let's say we sit down at the end of April, May, we go through the audit, a decision's made after that. We've got the green light. Let's go get the city of Lovington the best insurance carrier company product available. To be able to have from May to July, in my experience, that's a blessing. We have worked in much tighter time frames on people, and it's why I think a lot of insurance agents don't stay in the insurance game very long because of the stress of those time crunches. So in my opinion, there's not a time constraint if we went through that process and we had a green light in early May, a complete May, obviously with an early July renewal. We'd like to probably have that presentation in front of you guys no later than the middle of June, so that you have 2.5, 3 weeks to make an operational cost financial decision. So I don't know if I answered your question, but that's kind of I'm obviously looking at timeline to timeline. I see it being very feasible, and the last thing I want to do is bite off more than I can chew. It's doable now. It's obviously doable later. I know this is kind of a new process for everybody.
It's an extremely, and we've got basically 3 different avenues going to be talked about tonight. You've got an existing carrier that we've used for a long time, with a semi-new agent. He's been there, Mr. Gold, 2 years now. Okay. He came in about the same time I came in.
Sure.
So everybody, he's not new to the insurance, but he was new to the city of Lovington. You're coming in as a commercial group that also does municipalities. And then the other group that's on the Zoom is a self-insured. So not only are we talking about what you do well and what you do better than them, or what they do better than you, or whatever. Now we've got to look at several different avenues. So it's going to take a lot of city involvement and time to be able to even compare not only how we insure, but who we insure with. And my final question to you, Mike, is in reality, why would you take this particular project on, other than just another opportunity? I mean, what interests your group to say Lovington, New Mexico is a place that we think we can help?
I think that's such a good question. I'm a Texas boy, born and raised. Grew up in a little town called Kerrville, Texas. It's decent deer hunting. Lived in Houston for a little bit, and my wife and I had an opportunity to move to Midland and chase our American dream. And that was about 8.5 years ago. I live in Midland today. When I went to, I read a George Bush quote when I was told that I should either find a new job or move to Midland. And I told her that Midland's a place that you can move to with nothing. And if you work hard, you can make a name for yourself. 8 years later, best decision, hands down, that I've ever made. The reason it's been the best decision is when I moved to Midland, Texas, and I joined up with this insurance group that had this specialty in oilfield service contractors, primarily in the Permian and the Delaware Basin. Everybody had made cold calls in Midland and Odessa. Every door that I walked in said, "You're another McAnally guy. You guys are all like 6'1" white guys, and you all look the same." So I was urged, you need to go to Southeast New Mexico, and you need to make calls there. And I've been able to provide for my family in a way that I didn't think was possible as one of the first guys at our firm that woke up every morning, drove out to Southeast New Mexico. The drive-in is nice because you get an hour back. The drive home, I've missed a lot of dinners. But today, my book of business that I manage is primarily here. It's in Hobbs, New Mexico. It's in Lovington. It's in Jowl. It's in Eunice. It's in Carlsbad. It's in Artesia. And I don't know. This is like working with the people that I work with is, I think this is one of the few pieces of America that are left where people really can move to and chase their American dream. So that all sounds corny, but if there's a place that represents that, just based on the customers that I personally have, that I sit down with and I talk about their operational costs, they've done it, and they did it here in a place like Lovington. And so I'm not from here. I've heard more than once, we want to buy local, we care, and God, you have to support a smaller economy like the city of Lovington. But I view it as more than just an opportunity. I think that I'm here for a reason, and whether it's to learn from something or to be a future insurance agent, I'm okay with either one. My recommendation is that you view your broker the same way that you would a CFO or an attorney or an accountant. You know, you really want to find the one that you think best represents you guys as a city, choose them, and then eliminate any obstacle that would keep them from getting you guys the best deal done possible.
Anyone else? All right. Moving forward to work.
Sure, thank you.
No problem.
I'm going to, let me introduce myself. I'm Rob Golden, and I own Golden Insurance Agency and also Reed Insurance Group here in Lovington. I have with me my son, Cole Golden. He's an agent in Lubbock, Texas. And then also I have Rosie Hargrove, who was this gentleman's interpreter. She is one of our agents here in Lovington. I'll do a brief review of our response to the RFP. And I guess I better get my glasses out. It's print's a little fine. Reed Insurance Group, which is an affiliate of Golden Insurance Agency, PC. Both of these are longtime local insurance agencies. Reed has been in Lovington since the 1940s by way of Mr. Lester Alston, and then Mike Hargraves, and then Stacy Reed, and then now us. Golden Insurance Agency has had an office in Lovington since 1990. We were down on the corner of Avenue D and 9th. I was thinking 8th, but yeah, 9th, okay. We represent some of the most advantageous markets for the city of Lovington. Some of these markets are currently Travelers Insurance Group, Great American, Liberty Mutual, Amwins, Philadelphia, and Munich. These markets can offer the lowest cost, the best coverages, and the best service, and are all very strong financially. These companies, if you want to, you can look it up online under AM Best and see whatever you like to from a financial standpoint. In response to selecting markets, last year we put things out to bid to other markets, and at the time we were just coming off of that big hailstorm that we had May 1. And your situation is that you have $56 million plus in property values in the city of Lovington. And having such a concentrated volume of exposure, it was really tough to have any markets that would actually give us a quote on the property itself. Now, everybody was willing to quote the liability situation and so, but, you know, I think we want to continue to make this a package situation. And now, the main concern with I think the council last year was the fact that of our deductible situation on the property. And like you said, it caught everybody by surprise. You weren't prepared for the situation. And of course, we personally didn't have anything to do with that situation because we inherited the coverages that you already had. And so this year, we are prepared to, you know, shop your account, shop all the coverages. We currently have already approached some markets on this, and we do have people that are interested in your account this year. I will say that much. Now, I feel like that our service has been good or borderline excellent, maybe. We have, you know, anytime the city calls, we jump. And as a matter of fact, I would, I'll just be blunt and I'll tell you this, you guys are our biggest account. You're number one in our office. And so we feel like that we can take care of you and do the best job that you'll get anywhere. Now, all of the markets that we will approach, they have their specialists in municipalities. The current market that you're with, Travelers, they have a specialized department in their company that all they do is municipality. And we have a designated underwriter, and then also designated loss control people, and also designated claims people. And they're available 24/7. Give you a little background on us. I've been in this business for a long time, probably longer than some of you guys have been around. I started in the insurance business in 1973. And I moved to Artesia, New Mexico in 1975. And I've been there ever since. I worked for New Mexico Farm Bureau for about 6 years. I worked with Bob Ferguson. Does anybody in here remember Bob Ferguson? He was Lieutenant Governor of New Mexico at one point in time and had a little agency in Artesia, New Mexico. And then I've been in the independent insurance agency business ever since that time. And I've owned my own farm for the last 30-something years. And I had a partner in business for about 25 years, and then we separated a little over 10 years ago. And so that's hence the name Golden Insurance Agency. Of course, we carry all the required licenses and E&O insurance. And of course, everything is done, computers. And we're just a phone call or an email or a text message away from whatever you guys need. And give you a little, when it comes to experience, of course, we do all lines of insurance, but we have specialized in oil and gas, farm and ranch. We do a lot with group health. We also have entered into the municipality business. We currently insure you guys. We also insure the town of Toledo. And in the past, I have done business with the city of Artesia. So, this is not something that's strange to us. We're familiar with your coverages. We're familiar with some of the problems that you have. I know where the gaps are. And last year we made some recommendations and we never really followed through, but they're still on the table, of course. Yes, sir.
Rob, let me ask you a question, and it's not Monday morning quarterbacking, but it was before you came on, before I came on, before most. From what I hear is how hammered we got because of the hailstorm.
Right.
Some of our buildings are still not fixed. How would you approach it differently this time? Did we have our deductibles set too high to have our rates lower? I mean, what? So we never get into a situation like that again.
Well, let me give you some history here a little bit. The property insurance right now is at a point where, especially in this area, wind and hail is the main issue. So the markets are going to percentage deductibles. They range from 1% deductible to 5%. I've even seen 10% on certain things. The problem that I see that you guys encountered was the fact that you had $100,000 deductible per building. And that was for wind and hail. Now, your other deductible, of course, was much lower for fire and vandalism and things like that.
Okay, so there's a different deductible for different types of.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
In hindsight, do you think that was wise?
Well, it probably saved you a lot of money over the years. And I'm not sure exactly when that $100,000 deductible was purchased by the city. But I'm sure it was done mainly for premium, to save premium. You have lots of properties that's not worth $100,000. So you're not going to have a wind and hail claim on those properties, even though you will have a wind and hail. So now on your larger items, it's 100,000 may be feasible because if you have a 5% wind and hail and you've got a $3 or $4 million building, then your deductible is going to be way up there. So right now, the insurance markets, this is what they're pushing. They're pushing deductibles, high deductibles, even on your homeowners. Some of you may have encountered where they're asking for at least a 1% to 2% wind and hail deductible on your homeowners policies. Especially if you got hit last May, like the city did. And another problem is that like I mentioned a while ago, you've got a concentration of exposure right here. And Not everybody's willing to go for those things. We have clients that we have 20 million in property values, 80 million in property values, and these guys have gone to, most of them have a 5% wind and hail deductible is what they've encountered. The 80 million is even higher than that. But the client that has 80 million in property, his premiums are well over what yours is total. Your current premiums are very, very low on the property end because of that deductible, I'm sure. So, you know, one way you can look at it is probably over the years, you may have saved $1 million, but this last hailstorm probably cost you $1 million. So, yeah, it's, yeah. What we would like to do is look at both sides of this and have your current carrier look at both sides of this. And then also our other markets also do the same thing. So, you know, and, you know, like you guys say, shop local. We are local, guys. We're just down the street here, about 2 blocks. And I'm just a phone call away or a text message away, and you can ask Shannon about that. She and I communicate regularly on various things. So, and we've also communicated with David quite a bit. So we feel like that you know, we're doing you a good job, and you know, as the old saying is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And if there's something that you feel like that we need to do a better job, then we'll definitely do it. You know, we're here to take care of the city of Lovington. You'll have to excuse me. I lived over there for a long time, and I'm used to talking to the city sometimes, and so I apologize for that. But I will say this, you know, when I come to Lovington, I always wear my blue shirt and my blue jacket or whatever. But no, we are local. We support, you know, your football teams. We support your athletics. We have employees that live here. We have employees that pay taxes here. We pay taxes here. And, you know, with us, you know, your money stays in Lovington and in New Mexico. Any other questions?
Mr. Lowell.
No, I just, as far as reading this, your current agent, as the current agent, our commissions are based solely with with the carriers to supply coverage needed for Lovington. And I know we're asking for that all fees, commissions, with insurers used by brokers on this account must be disclosed. So I recommend that all fees that we are seeing pertaining to any of this coverage that we're going to be having, we're able to see as far as the city of Lovington.
Well, that's no problem. We will fully disclose all of that at the time. Of course, our commissions are dictated by the companies, and we don't charge any additional fees over that commission. We strictly work off commission. And that's just the way it's normally done in our business. So, you know, if there's ever any questions, we have no objections to that question.
Mr. Gold, one question, and it's actually a statement with the question at the end. It would go to anyone that is presenting that is looking for our business or have. As we've stated, there's only a couple of people that probably were sitting in their positions within the past 10 years, or maybe even shorter, 5 years. And so no one that sits in this building is, insurance savvy, if that's the right way to say it. So our reliance is the person or group that is chosen, you at your current level, you are the one that we hold responsible for seeing that Lovington's need is covered. That's the right word.
Yes.
Okay, so it's a big responsibility on your part. By your own statement, we are your largest customer. But we're also, based on that, kind of a guinea pig in a way, because no more than we foresaw a hailstorm of that magnitude, not understanding, this group did not understand our liability limit at that time. So looking backwards is always much easier in that we can attest that we lost a lot of structural integrity that was not coverable by us under this policy. So the city absorbed a hit to our value, I guess. All right, unforeseeable hailstorm, we all understand that. But we rely on the person that has the current coverage to help us foresee, maybe it's not a hailstorm, even though that is a big item, but computer hacking, a tort claim. I mean, this is all covered in your policy. And can you tell me, and I know I'm bleeding a whole lot, can you tell me how we can feel comfortable that your group is helping foresee the other possible catastrophes that could come along, and can evaluate the limits on any one of those and say, you're pretty good here. This one over here has a possibility. I mean, and I know that, should it be the travelers is more involved? Should we ask, is there questions that we should ask? Of course, after 2 years, I'm a little more versed, but not necessarily in your position to have that knowledge. So is there things that we can do that would help you avert a similar situation?
Sure. Let me say this. One of the first things I did when I took over your account is I got with Bernard, and he's your Bernardo, I'm sorry. He's your streets guy. Anyway, we went around and I took pictures of every piece of property that you had. And I measured each piece of property for square footage. The claims people, I'm working with the claims people that from the hailstorm of the previous May. And there was some that were undervalued. There was some property that was not on the policy. And so we have made adjustments to that. And then also, in reviewing your liability limits, different lines of liability, we're prepared to make recommendations on those categories. We feel like that there's some things that we can do to enhance the coverages that you do have from a liability standpoint on your, your general liability, and then your employment practices liability, and then different coverages that you have, because you do have a lot of coverages, as you know. There are some coverages that you do not have that I would recommend that you do have. Thing that you do have, I feel is very necessary. And then, of course, at the same time, one of the things that we would like to take a look at is also your work comp insurance. Work comp rates in New Mexico have been going down in the last 5-6 years. And it's just unbelievable to me that the rates are as low as they are. And I'm not familiar with your current rates, but possibly we can help in that category also. It's interesting that work comp rates are down, since we all know medical expenses are not down. And so it's kind of weird to me that it's happening this way, but apparently we've been doing a better job from a safety standpoint overall in the business, especially in this area. It seems like things are really, doing well from a medical standpoint as far as work comp claims go. So, and I hope that kind of answers your question. We are prepared to review things, and going forward, I would like to have the opportunity to review coverages and things with the commission and also all other involved parties in this, because that way you know where we're at, and you know where we're going, and you know how we got there. And I think in the past, I think maybe your predecessors just, said, we got a good policy, and we hadn't had any claims, so they didn't change anything. But, and maybe they went to the higher deductible to save dollars, which I'm sure that's what they did. But I can't promise that I'm going to save you money, but we will sure try. But we also want to make sure you got the best coverages. So I'll stop there unless there's any more questions.
Yeah, I wanted to, one more thing. Robbie asked the gentleman before, as far as timeline. What are we looking at as far as a timeline for you to come in and discuss coverages and get figures and information for us?
We have a lot of the information already, so time is not a big factor right now. We don't want to wait much longer though. I mean, I'm just like my competitor. We would like to have your renewal quote to you by June 1, June 15 at the latest. So, and we feel people feel very confident that we can do that too. I mean, like I said, I'm already working on this, guys. We're upgrading equipment schedules right now, and so we've recently added the lights that you were talking about the other day, and you do have some unique situations between you guys and the school system, and city owns this, but the schools use it, and the schools own this, but the city uses it, and there's a lot of things that you guys are doing that's a little bit different, but we're aware of it, and so we're good with it. Yes, sir. Anything else? Okay.
Thank you, Robbie.
Well, thank you, guys. And this gentleman's words over here, shop local.
Commissioners and Mr. Mayor, our last presenter is Mr. Alan Fugler. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, the New Mexico Self-Insurance Fund. Alan, can you hear me?
I sure can, Mr. Miranda. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Alan, just starting off, can you, number one, explain how you're able to be part of the process, even though you didn't go through the RFP part of it? And then number two, maybe you can explain to the commissioners and the people present how the self-insurance fund differs from private or commercial insurance.
Certainly. First off, Mr. Miranda, thank you, Mr. Mayor and commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to address this esteemed body. I appreciate it. I welcome the opportunity to do more business with you, expand the opportunities that we already share. The fund is able to participate in bidding for additional lines of coverage because we are a quasi-governmental agency, and the procurement code does not speak to one government agency requesting services or products from another government agency. That's kind of the long and short of it. So we don't really have to comply with that portion of the procurement code. We're different in that rather than us being a commercial real insurance broker, I'm a licensed P&C agent acting on behalf of the fund as their director of underwriting. So I literally work with our actuaries, with our brokers for other non-core programs, which we can discuss. But we help develop rates, and rates obviously generate premiums when applied to those asset schedules. We are the carrier in that respect. Whereas, a broker will, which is, good fiscal and sound customer service, go out and look for coverage in the marketplace, different commercial carriers. We are the carrier. We are your agent representing us as the carrier, if you will. So we actually play both roles. That's the efficiency that we have built in. We are the product, and we are the salespeople for the product, if you will, and we service the product. We've been in business as the fund since the early 80s. The league has been around since the 1920s, and suspended operations only during World War II and the Korean War. Other than that, they've been representing municipalities across New Mexico for that long. We operate and insure about $3.4 billion in building values. We have about 8,700 autos under policy. We operate with about 100 and represent about 120 municipalities and special districts like irrigation districts and flood control districts, et cetera. So we, other than Albuquerque, Santa Fe, and Las Cruces, we insure the vast majority of the municipalities for multiple lines of coverage. Our core coverages really include the things that your traveler's policy covers right now, which is general liability. It's police, law enforcement. It is public officials, which is your D&O type coverage. It can also be employment practices liability, which EPLI coverage, depending on the allegation. It's your workers' comp, and I was doing a little research in preparation. It looks like we've been insuring your workers' comp since about 1985. And we are really grateful for the opportunity to speak to you about other lines of coverage. I myself have been with the fund about 6 months, but I have about 30 years of experience in the insurance business and the commercial side. So this is a departure. I have worked with SIFs, self-insured funds, in the past, and this is about as robust and strong an SIF as I've ever seen. Of that, the 3.4 billion in TIV, in total insured values, we also reinsure the program well above the $1,050,000 tort limits. We've got Lloyd's, we insure with the National League of Cities. They have their own mutual fund. That's a layer. We insure with Lloyd's of London, several syndicates on another layer. Then we have other carriers above that, and we have Chubb sitting on top of that. Altogether, about just shy of $400 million in reinsurance, which we're, again, speaks to our strength. We are dedicated to new municipalities in New Mexico. We're across the street from the state capitol. We work with the municipal league hand in hand to solve the problems that the municipalities face. We, in addition to the core coverages of general liability, police, law enforcement, public officials, auto liability, we insure auto physical damage, we insure property, of course, and workers' comp. We're also pretty nimble in that we can find solutions to unique problems with our Aon broker. Aon is the largest brokerage in the world. They have access to every conceivable carrier across the planet. We insure other called takeout or pass-through coverages, as we deem them here. Things like volunteer firefighters, their accidental death and dismemberment policy. So we insure volunteer EMS operations. We insure cyber security. I heard a discussion about cyber. We have a cyber program that our members have access to, about half a dozen so far that have taken advantage of that. We have a storage tank facility. I know environmental concerns was one of the issues in the RFP, and we can cover that as well through that tank storage coverage. I don't believe you guys have a municipal airport, but we do have an airport liability coverage as well. So if there's a problem that you need solved, I think we can solve it. If not inside the core coverages of the program, then we can solve it through our Aon broker. I'll give you an idea of how nimble we are. Recent changes in the legislature kind of created vicarious liabilities for businesses and municipalities. Serving alcohol is one of their functions. So if you've got a golf course or a zoo or a civic center where you've got the service of alcohol with proper licensing and proper server cards, you need liquor liability coverage. Well, because of the change in laws about 3 years ago, the carriers have left the state of New Mexico. More than 12 admitted carriers have left the state of New Mexico. We recognize that as being an urgent need for our members, and we're going to write that inside of the core coverages of our program because our members need it, so we'll do it. So I think that kind of demonstrates our commitment to the municipalities of New Mexico and their citizens. Did you want me to focus on anything in particular, Mr. Mayor and Ms. Miranda?
Well, actually, sir, I did, because whether, and this is Mayor Roberts, I'm sorry, what brought this about was a hailstorm a couple of years ago that was fairly complete as far as destruction on roofs and then associated problems from that. As we are rebuilding our city in various ways, we are increasing, we are putting value into these buildings, into the structures, and we understand that at any moment, especially starting about now, and traveling through the next 6 months to August or so, we could experience the same event again. It is hard to, insure against that, to predict when you start talking dollars and figures and, every 6 years we have a catastrophic event on an average, or every 10 years we do, whatever group you look at. Yet it could go back-to-back years or back-to-back months. I've experienced all of those in the 60 years that I've been here. So how does your group look at that, and how do you look at value? Because dollars as far as we pay out versus dollars we lose in an event is really the value we have to look at. It is not the check, the monthly or bi-month or bi-yearly or whatever check we write. It's what does the city gain and what does the city lose? So using that as an example, can you kind of tell us how your group handles in a self-insured type situation?
Absolutely. We're going through some pretty significant wind and hail losses as well from your fellow municipalities. We approach it in a number of different ways. One is that every 3 years, we're going to do an appraisal. The fund pays for it, costs you guys nothing. But we're going to send an appraiser out to put boots on the ground and eyeballs on buildings to do an assessment of the value so that you are insured to value. So you have enough insurance to cover the losses in case of a catastrophic wind or hail loss or fire loss, for instance. So we're going to maintain accurate numbers and make sure that you guys stay insured to value. That helps us with our reinsurance because the most challenging part of our business is, one of the most challenging part of the business is insuring the property because of those losses, because of the cost of rebuilding, because of the reinsurance costs that we all share with the places in the catastrophic areas. I was at the Aon conference in January in Orlando, Florida, and I was approached by several of our reinsurance partners that were very grateful that we're in New Mexico because we don't suffer from catastrophic exposures like wildfires in Northern California, or especially the coastal exposures like in Florida. I'm a Louisiana native and I lived in Florida a long time, so I'm painfully aware of what happens when the storms blow through. We're actually looking at programs to help our members maintain buildings as well. The key to having a loss that's not a catastrophic loss is to make sure that your buildings are protected, pardon me, so that as we could do the triennial appraisals, we'll identify areas of deficiency, leaks in roofs and things like that we can bring it to your attention before they become a claim, so that you guys are aware and that we can partner together to make sure that your buildings are protected between the events. That will hopefully mitigate some of those losses. We have brought on board just in the past, I've been there 6 months. We brought on two communities that are pretty close to you guys, both of which have suffered pretty significant wind and hail losses. And the reason that they came to us, part of the reason is because of the reasons you're asking right now, because of the difference in us as a not-for-profit self-insured fund treats the claims philosophy as opposed to a commercial carrier. Now, I'm not casting aspersions on commercial carriers because that's most of my career, but I see the difference. I see the difference in claims philosophies. Our self-insured risks, the retentions that our members have are pretty modest compared to the numbers I've heard today. And I think you'll find our rates very competitive on property in particular, given the open market and the status. We do everything we can to rate and mitigate every kind of loss. Matter of fact, I know we're talking about property in particular, but if I can just mention a couple of things on our workers' comp, you probably know Erica Mankaya. She is a brilliant loss control director. She has a full staff. She makes sure that our members, employees are trained in OSHA standards. We have like 30 or 40 different programs within her umbrella of loss control services. We're all based in New Mexico. We recently brought on board, and I think it was within a week or two of me coming on board in late September, Chief Tim Johnson came on board. Chief Johnson retired as the head of the New Mexico State Police, and he's my office mate right behind that wall. You see me right there. He's going to be working with our members, police, fire, and EMS departments on their SOPs, helping us, when there is an alleged claim. He is part of that team, along with the 3 attorneys that we have here in-house and the network of contracted attorneys that we have statewide. We are fully dedicated, full service, right here in town, in the state with you. Did that approach your question, Mayor?
Yes, I mean, in a way, because we are not unique. If you look at southeastern New Mexico, all of southeastern New Mexico experiences this type of possibility, as far as an event. We all have extreme winds and extremely arid conditions. The town, or at least a good portion of it, could be compromised with that. And these are things that we don't have the staff as the city to predict or to prepare for that. And whoever we choose, as I stated earlier, we rely on that group to say, okay, you might want to look at this. And there's new attacks, as we talked about, or whatever it is, things we don't think about. We don't have anybody on this staff that I'm going to can say they truly understand what we should be protecting at a value and what's the rate chart? Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry, can't think of the right word, but to predict it's going to happen, but when is it possibly going? These are things we don't have the ability to. So.
Yes, sir. I hear your concern, and I certainly understand it. Predictive modeling is in its infancy in terms of when and where and how severe those events are going to be, how frequent they're going to be. We do have some resources through our AON partnership. There are some predictive models that are emerging. In the meantime, the old tools in the toolbox still work. You still send an appraiser out, you do an appraisal, you get an assessment, you insure the value to make sure you've got adequate coverage inside of your assessed value. So if there's a loss, that loss can be taken care of within your insurance policy. We are going to work with you and your staff on risk management, new emerging threats like cyber. There are some significant exposures like outside of the tort cap. The 1986 and the CRA claims that are emerging as a pretty significant source of losses for us. We will deploy Chief Johnson out there to make sure that everybody that works for the city has the best training, SOPs, and technology available. Matter of fact, the fund, the league, which it's like a left hand, right hand, if you will. I mean, they're legally they're separate, financially they're separate, but we work together to benefit members. And there's a grant program that will pay for the technology for all lapel cameras for your police force. It's what we find value in is getting, providing those opportunities. Our firefighters and EMS and volunteers AD&D program is better than what's on the market, available on the market in terms of benefits. We are always looking to improve those benefits. I'm pushing my broker, and he's pushing the carrier to tweak it to get us just a little bit better benefit for those people that are out there serving the community in a volunteer capacity. They're hurt on the job and they can't go and hang sheetrock or drive a truck because they've been injured responding to an emergency. So we're going to try to enhance even that program that's better than what's available on the market. If there's an opportunity to train, we'll certainly do so. In the next 2 weeks or so, I'm going to have somebody on staff with me that comes from the city clerk world that's going to be helping me work with staff on maintaining asset schedules, how to file a claim, what your policy looks like, what the policy language is, what it covers, what it doesn't cover, how much insurance you should have. Should you insure that 15-year-old F-150 with comprehensive and collision insurance? Well, it depends on the formula and how they're used. That's the insurance advisor role that we can play with you, in addition to providing the resources to stop the claims from happening too.
Alan, are you at liberty to disclose any surrounding municipalities that you insure, if that's appropriate?
Absolutely. Let me pull my map. Yeah, I think I got a map up. Let's see here. You guys, Hobbs came on board this year. Clovis came on board this year. Cuesta came on board this year. Now they're a little bit further away, but let's see. Eunice is a member. Jal, Loving is a member for comp, I think. Artesia is a member with all coverages. Carlsbad's a member. Going up, Roswell is a member. Dexter, Hagerman, Tatum. Let's see here. And that's what I just see in the immediate vicinity.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure. Anything else, Justin?
No, I think we're good. Thank you very much, Alan.
My pleasure. It's been delightful. I really appreciate the opportunity to address you. If you have any other questions, my door is always open. My phone's always on. You can drop me an email. I'd be glad to respond in a timely fashion.
Thank you, sir.
My pleasure.
Well, Mr. Miranda, a lot of this is going to fall in your lap. And so the challenge, and the challenge to everyone that is, first of all, I want to say thank you for being interested, and thank you for responding to this RFP that is in no manner specific enough to really try to find it at this point. But our goal is to get better and be more informed and have a realistic idea of how we want to ensure our town and our community. So a lot of this is going to fall on you. And as far as getting them information, using the staff that we have to do this, and I wish you well, and we're here to help. Get it done. You didn't have anything else to do. And you're free now. No problem. Does anyone, he goes, oh, absolutely.
I just want to say something in closing, Mr. Lieutenant, and it's because there's a lot of new faces. Our community's small, our income is small. but we're just looking for a good product that we can afford. Okay. That's what we're looking for. Right now, revenues are good, revenues are coming good, but when you make your decision and you bring the product to us to make that decision, make sure it's a product that we can also afford when times are bad. Okay, just for reference.
Thank you.
I think you should be speaking to the other three too.
He's a final decision. He's a master. So I think that it echoes to the insurance agency. Yes.
And I think with Shannon and Ms. Cooper, we'd like to involve all of you in making that decision, because it's a big decision and we all bring different life experiences to the table. So we can all be part of that process, and if you want to, we can get it done in 2 weeks. Oh, great. We don't have a lot of time, right, Shannon?
Before we move on, for those that are here, do you have any further questions? Is there any, I mean, I don't know that we can answer them, but we would be open.
Less than 3 minutes.
Yeah. All right, no one's jumping up, so we will endeavor to be good participants as we go in this journey. All right, move this on to the next item. Mr. Miranda.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, Mr. Shaw will not be here to present tonight. Reason being is we've been moving forward with the original professional services agreement that the commission got to look at. Myself, Ms. Cooper on telephone, and Chief and Skylar and Lonnie all met with Mrs. Roberts and Mr. Shaw last week. We felt like we made a lot of good progress. I echoed the concern that various commissioners did not maybe weren't comfortable with the idea of the proposal seeming to fall off the table after the first year or two in terms of Northlee's involvement. So they were very receptive to that, and we are working on amendments. City attorney has basically told us that you guys work out the business details, and when you're in a spot where you think it's doable, I will make sure the contract is a legal one. So that's why we're not presenting to the commission tonight, but we are making great progress. So probably next meeting, Mr. Shaw will be here to present hopefully a finished product for you.
That finished product is put together. We have that sent before meeting.
Absolutely, just like I said, the last one, yes, sir. You will see it before the meeting.
Thank you.
You'll have plenty of time to review it, as will the city attorney, but even then, it's flexible. One thing I can share is the latest version, Mr. Shaw, has taken effect in July 1st, because it coincides with our new fiscal year, their new fiscal year. So we have a little breathing room. So, yes, sir.
Patrick, do you have any comments on the project?
Well, I think that when I listened to Mr. Shaw do his presentation, what I saw in the agreement was a little bit different. So as I've explained to Skip, like on our last contractual review, I'm not necessarily in the position to say what the city is willing and or able to do as far as home visits, et cetera. That's something that I look at the city and say, are you willing to do this? Do we have the manpower? Or is this something that is palatable to you? Once we get that first stage taken care of, then I can take a look at it for, things that I normally look at, like we did with Skip. And so there's a lot there. It puts a pretty big burden on the city as far as providing certain services. Sometimes if those services are outside of our scope, what we normally do, I want to make sure we're covered by our insurance carrier, and to make sure that whatever we're doing, we're not decreasing the coverage we have, not from an insurance standpoint, but our ability to go out and provide the services that the city is expecting. So I think overall, it's a pretty good idea. And we just need to make sure the city understands this is what we're obligated to do, not just from, the day-to-day things, but what happens when we take a look at those either additional hires or increases in salary. And then it's the city's obligation to take care of para issues and all of those other things. And so if you're comfortable with doing that, then I can make that fit. But I really need some good feedback from the city to say, yes, this is what we intended, we understand, these are our obligations, these are gonna be our continuing obligations. Let's put in a package to make it work from a municipal standpoint. So,
And some of the things we're looking at, not to go into the details, but we got with the chief about, okay, they expect, or the goal was 40 at-home visits a month, pardon me. But something the chief said is, we can probably get that done in well under a half hour. So if you look at 2 EMTs, half hour each, 40 times a month, it's not a big ask. But to me, the $1 million question is the sustainability of the program through picking up. So Norley wants us to pick up 50% of their non-Lovington ground transfers that they currently have to give to other services. We make money on those things. So the $1 million question is, are we going to make enough money off picking up those extra transports to kind of, I don't want to say they'll totally offset the additional cost of the higher salaries and the para, but at least cushion it, and maybe Norley would be willing to help us, forward. So that's kind of the direction we're going in, but that's what we're looking at.
Yeah.
Yes, sustainability.
Any further questions? Everyone shaking their head. Thank you, Mr. Mine. We appreciate that.
Mayor Roberts, before we move on, I just want to make sure that y'all get these, folders that were left at your desk there. You can take this home and stay the RFA that were presented that people that were here. And there isn't anything on the insurance fund here, but this is their proposal back in here.
Thank you for providing. All right.
Okay.
We can actually move on to.
I'd like to make a motion for resolution 2024-029, approve RFP packet for audit services.
Okay. Consideration of this resolution.
I can take this.
All right.
So the RFP is to go out and try to find, just get quotes and prices and basically learn what auditors can do for us and make sure that they include the services, ongoing services we need, which is maybe answer a question every once in a while. We have a question. Sorry. There's a reason he's laughing. But, and so we intend to send this out to a good chunk of the list that's on the auditors, the state auditor's website. This is its list. It just came out like 10 days ago. So we do have a new list to be able to send this to.
When do you figure you're going to send it out to?
Two right off the top of my head. Currently, the rule is you can have the same auditor for 8 years in a row. State's going to dial that back to 6 years in a row, but not this year. They're going to do it next year. So potentially, our existing auditor could get our services again, but we're seeing that.
So we'll send it to our current auditor. We'll send it to, some that have expressed interest. We'll send it to some local ones that county obviously has some recommendations to send it to you. So we'll send it to those, and then to, pretty much, we'll try to get local as much as possible, area local, not Lovington local, but area local as much as possible. And then, just see what we get back on the audit. A big part for me is their capacity to do it and what they need from us. Do they think of website? Are they going to do it remote? All that just kind of, remote is harder.
Yeah, I would prefer.
Yeah, remote is harder. It takes more of our time. So that's going to be a big thing for me is whether they're going to, and, what kind of experience do they have doing audits for municipalities?
And unlike last year, we're way ahead of the curve this time. Last year was just, we didn't have enough time, I think, went out too late, so.
So we'll send this out. There's a timeline in the RFP for, intentions of getting it out, publicizing it, getting things back, and then getting back to you with the recommendation. Other audits?
Any other questions or discussion? Everyone shaking their head. Devin?
Commissioner Bolt,
Yes.
Commissioner Trujillo.
Yes.
Commissioner White.
Yes.
Mayor Roberts.
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion for resolution 2024-030. Appoint Alice Hannah Spinello as alternate municipal judge.
Very good. We have a motion and a second for consideration of this resolution. Who takes it? Shannon, is it you? or-
She came in today.
Okay.
You want to say?
You want to say it? I have been able to see it all night.
In the interest of brevity and us getting home before, I'm going to sleep, I'm going to say I'd be honored to serve.
Commissioner Owen, Judge Owens recommended her.
Okay. No, seeing no further questions. Jen?
Commissioner White.
Yes.
Commissioner Bolt,
Yes.
Commissioner Trujillo.
Yes.
Mayor Roberts.
Yes. Congratulations, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
My boss.
I know, right? You'd like to make a motion to pay bills?
All right. We have a motion. I'm sure there'll be a few questions.
There are quite a few expenses on here related to grants. We have a $75,000 new tractor mower for the Parks Department, and we heard about that today, and we heard about them today, and they're loving them. They're awesome. They've had like a 5-hour job in 30 minutes, so these things will pay for themselves. Don't count at all.
And that was a junior bill from Representative Peck.
Thank you. That,
And I believe Senator President has probably, and thanks.
we did get a new hot water heater for
Please inspire.
our fire. So,
That was it, right?
and then we were able to get that through the grant, which was timely, so. Sorry that you had to wait a little bit. But
It's done, that's
it's
all I'm.
done. It's not in.
No, I'm saying, it's done, we're, thanks to you, and rushing it, it did.
And then the technologies, we had a big, then during the time where we figured out we could double pay them and they needed to repay us and the check was not quite clearing because it didn't transfer the money.
Not our check.
We weren't having them until we received our refund, so we have, everybody is now square and
Was
clear.
that the 61,000?
Correct. Correct, so.
Already answered a couple of my questions. Doing good.
Okay.
Proactive.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about you a little bit.
Scary in there.
They're organized.
My birthday all the time was like, oh, I know, all of my work up here, stop talking to me.
We had one for Dash Electric, wastewater repairs at the plant. And I know it's 13,000. I was just wondering what that entails, what they gotta do there.
There are 3 charges for that.
Well, yeah, but.
I think part of it had to do with the backup generator at the booster tanks. There was something at the wastewater treatment plant.
Oh, they had to, do a pretty good job out there, but. I mean, we all know it.
I know it's like 13,000, but I know it adds up quick. I was just kind of curious. As I see a couple of things, the electrical work at the plant.
Right, the
and
pump repair,
repairs.
yeah, that's in the water well field.
Right.
A lot of those electrical boxes are just real old and they're having their issues. And they tie into the SCADA system as well, besides getting power.
These particular ones, it was electrical lines, boxes, I mean, there's just some.
Okay, just basic upgrades, pretty much.
Upgrades or fixing stuff that just breaks. And they are Robert's go-to electrical guys right
Yeah, it's just,
I just wanted to have something to put next to it.
It's just not deciding where to go with. And, yeah. And I feel like it's a Saturday. One of these. Yeah, it's just, it's a bit of like,
Oh,
yeah.
yes, and I'll make sure that there's a better description.
Anyone further?
That's it.
Okay. Shannon? Roll call.
Mayor Roberts,
Yeah.
Commissioner Bowe,
Yes.
Commissioner Trujillo.
Yes.
Commissioner White.
You're not done.
I know, I was reading.
Okay.
I was too.
I'd like to make a motion that we go into closed session pursuant to section 10-15-1 in MSA 1978, subsection H2 regarding limited personnel matters, city manager evaluation.
Okay, I'm on the second. Okay, we're gonna take it. Shannon, go ahead and get to a roll call real quick before we lose them.
Commissioner Trujillo,
Yes.
Commissioner White, Mayor Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Bowe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.